Hi everyone. In today's challenge, we are going to solve this problem. The problem name is longest array of ones after deleting one element, and the problem number is 1.493. Alright, guys. As usual, first of all, we are going to clearly understand this problem statement. After that, we are going to move to the logic part. We are going to see how we can solve this problem. What is the logic to solve this problem? And after that, we are going to move to the implementation part. We are going to implement our logic in C++, Java, Python, and JavaScript programming language. Fine, guys. Now let's see what this problem says. Right. So problem says, given a binary array nums, you should delete one element from it. So first of all, what we are given with? We are given with one array that is nothing but a binary array. That means this array will gonna have only 0 or 1 value, not more than we can say not any other value except these two value, right? So it can have 0, 1, 1, any value, but it always gonna have either 0 value or a 1 value, right? It is called a binary array. Return the size of a longest non-empty subarray containing only ones in the resulting array. Now what we have to do? We have to return a size, right? We have to return only an integer thing, right? We have to return a size of an array which should contain only ones. I hope you are getting it. We have to find an array inside of this array. We have to find one sub array which consisting only one, right? We have to return that size. So we have to return the longest size which we can make from this array which have only one value, but after deleting a one element, right? Return 0 if there is no such sub-array. So simple thing, guys. Once we have deleted one element from this array, then we have to find a sub-array which have a maximum number of 1. Right? Not maximum number, we can say all the numbers 1. Right? There should not be 0 in that sub-array. Right? And we have to find such a big sub-array and we have to return that length. Simple thing, guys. So if I remove this 0 in this place, so I will say that this is a sub-array which is having we can say all the values 1 and the length is nothing but 3. So we have to return 3, which is the size of this subarray, right? So I hope it makes sense. If there is no subarray present which have all the values 1, so we have to return nothing but 0, right? So that was the simple problem statement, guys. First thing, let me summarize. First thing, nothing but we are given with one array, that is a binary array. Second thing, we have to delete one element from our array. After that, once deleted, third thing, we have to find a subarray which have all the values 1 in that subarray, and we have to find such subarray which have a largest length, right? And we have to return that particular length. That's all. Now let's move to the example and let's try to understand this problem, right? With the examples, you will have a better understanding. So guys, in this example, you can see uh, 1 1 1 0 1, right? So we have a full length of an array. Now we have to delete one element. So which element we should delete? We should delete this 0, right? If we delete this 0, then you can see, guys, we have nothing but, if we delete this 0, so we will get our array like this, isn't it? And the length is nothing but, this whole array is nothing but our sub array which have all the values 1 and length is nothing but 3. So we are returning nothing but 3 only, right? Then the second example, you can see we have this much bigger array. Now we can delete only one element, right? So if we delete this first 0, then you can see we are going to have only 3 2 1. So this means we are going to have maximum length of a sub-array which have all the values is nothing but 3 only, right? Because this is only the our result. But if we delete this 0, if we delete this 0, then you can see, guys, we have 3 in this side and 2 this side. So this will combine make this resultant array, right? So here if you will notice, then this 5 length of sub-array is our answer because it has all the values 1 and it is the maximum, we can say, length, right? So we can return nothing but answer 5 only. So you are getting thing, guys, right? We have to just delete one number. We have to think about where we can delete that number so that we can get a maximum length of sub-array which have all the values 1. Simple thing, guys, right? So let's try to see the logic so that we can solve this problem. So let me write a logic part. So logic is going to be, guys, really very easy, right? So what we have to do, guys, we have to simple thing. First of all, I'm taking this bigger example only because you can have a better understanding with this example. 0 double 1 0 and 1, right? So this is the example we have right now, right? Let me say array is equal to this. Now, guys, once we have this example, now what we are going to do, we are going to say either we can use a DP, either we can use a sliding window. So in this video, we are going to use a sliding window. Fine. And sliding window, how it going to work? So guys, first of all, I'm here, guys. Okay. So what we are going to do, we are going to say, okay, fine. First of all, check how many zeros do we have here. So if I'm here, so I'm going to say 0 is 1. 0 is nothing but 1. I'll say that cool, don't worry. This 0 is 1, then cool, go ahead. So here also, now I come here. Now how many zeros are here? So you can say 0 is nothing but again 1 only because we have found only 0 1. This is 1 only. So we are not going to increment over 0. Fine. So I'll say come again here. So you're going to say nothing but 0 again a 1 because it is also 1, right? So it will not increment 0 very well. So 0 is still a 1. Here 0 is still a 1, right? Now here we found a 0 which is nothing but we are going to increment over 0 variable, which we will say now. Now if you are at here, so we have a 0 nothing but 2, right? So now we're going to take our second pointer, which was initially 0 at 0 index only. So we'll say keep incrementing to the right side until and unless our 0 variable should equal to 1. So we'll say fine, I was here, so I will say okay, is this a 0 variable, right? So let's decrement 0 now and move ahead. So once we come here, so you can see guys 0 again 1, so we'll not move ahead again because we want 0 should be either equal to 1 or less than 1, right? It should not be more than 1, right? So here we are not gonna move ahead this second pointer, we'll come to again our first pointer, and here we'll say move ahead. So this is not a 0, so we're gonna say 0 is still 1, come here. This is also not a 0, so we'll say still 0 1, so keep ahead. Again this is a 0, right? So we're going to increment a 0 variable 2, and we'll say this first variable keep moving right side until and unless you don't have a 0 is equal to 1, right? Or 0 less than 1. So say this is not a 0, so move ahead, move ahead, we'll say move ahead. And here guys, you will see fine, you will find here nothing but this is 0, so we're gonna say 0 is equal to 1, right? So now this will gonna stop and this will gonna move again a 1, so it will not gonna increment it, 0 is still a 1, and it will come out from this loop, like. So this was nothing but I was saying that whole thing of sliding window, right? So you will come out from this j is equal to j is auto bound, so you're gonna stop your loop, right? But where we get our answer, we could not find any answer, right? We just keep traversing from this particular array using a sliding window, right? But see guys, now here I'm going to just repeat this thing so that now you can understand where we were trying to get the answer, right? So look, I'm representing with different colors. So this is our first pointer, this is our second pointer, right? So initially our second pointer is going to move because we want to calculate the length. So what we are going to do, we are going to say fine, second pointer is moving, let me make a 0 variable as well, which is initially 0, right? So now second point I'm going to see, is this a 0? Yes, so increment 0 by 1. So now 0 is variable is 1. Now move ahead, 0 is going to come here. Once 0 is coming in on each iteration, we are just keeping a, you can say, result which is going to tell us the maximum length. So we are going to say maximum of result, and this first pointer, let's consider this j and let's consider this I. So j minus I. So you guys can see that once we are done, we move to this particular variable, right? Here we are going to, what we are going to say, we are going to say fine, we are at this, right, j, and I is nothing but I will be where, I will be here only at 0, right? So 1 minus 0 is nothing but 1 only. So if you are at this, if we have this much array only, if we have this much array, then you can say answer is always going to be 1, right? Isn't it? So initially our result is going to be nothing but 1 only, right? Fine, now keep ahead because this is still 1, right? So we'll move our second pointer again. So second pointer will come here, and still 0 is 1 because this was one variable. Move ahead. Here again a 0 is going to remain one variable, so move ahead. So yes, we are going to come here, but still here once we were here, we keep calculating our result, which was nothing but 1 2 and 3, right? So result was nothing but 3 only, right? Because j was nothing but, we can see, let me write 0 index as well. So this is 0 1 2 3, so j was 3, 3 minus 0 is nothing but 0 only, right? So we will keep calculating the length as well, right? Now here we can say 0 become 2 now, right? Because we second pointer is standing at 0, so 0 variable become 2. Now what you have to do, you have to say okay, increment your left, we can say first pointer, which to the right side until and unless 0 variable become 1 or less than 1. So we'll say fine, it first of all going to check is this a 0 variable, right? So let's decrement 0 variable, which is now going to be 1, and it will keep move ahead, so it will going to be lying here, right? Now you're going to keep calculating the length. This was fourth index, this was 1 index, right? So you'll say result is nothing but 4 minus 1 is 3, right? Keep ahead. Now my, we can say the second point is going to move ahead here, and here again 0 variable is 1, right? So we're not going to say left variable, first variable to move right side, right? But we'll keep calculate the length. Here I is equal to we can say 5 minus 1 is nothing but 4, so we'll say result is nothing but 4. Now move ahead. Here again 0 variable is 1, so we don't need to say the first variable to move right side, and here I was 6, so 6 minus 1 is nothing but 5. Fine. Now it will move ahead. Here it is a 0, so it will going to increment 0 variable by 1, so 0 is now 2. Now we will say right first variable to move right side, so first will come now here, and it will say it is also 1, so no need to decrement 0. Again here it will say again no need to increment 0. It will come here, it will find, yeah, it's a 0, so we have to decrement 0 by 1. So I'll say 0 is now 1 and move ahead. Now first variable is here, right? So we're going to say fine, and this is nothing but, we can say 0 1 2 3 4 5, this is 5 index, right? And this was nothing but 0, we can say 7 index. So 7 minus 5 is nothing but 2, so we are not going to increment our result because it is, we have already maximum value than this, right? So we'll say move ahead, second pointer will come here, and here you can see this is 1, so it will not going to increment 0. So it's just we are gonna move ahead and we are gonna come out from loop. So we are gonna say return now your result variable, whatever you have got maximum during this sliding window. I hope it makes sense, right? If still you are not getting, so don't worry guys, we are going to implement this and then you will have a better understanding what we are actually doing here, right? I know it's really hard to understand with this particular thing, but still you will get a better understanding with the code as well, right? So let's move to the implementation part. Let's see how we can implement this. So guys, I'm first of all with Python and let's see how we can implement that sliding window, right? So I'm going to say I, J and result and we can say 0. I make 4 variable, right? I is initially 0, J is initially 0, result is initially 0 and 0 is also initially 0. We do not encounter any 0 variable right now in our array. Now we are going to say while J, which is our second point, is less than nums of 10, right? Less than nums of length, which we have already seen. Once we come out of loop, out of bound, so we are going to return. So once while J is less than length of nums, then you have to keep doing. So here we are going to check if we are going to say nums of J is equal to 0. We have to increment 0 variable, right? Now we are going to check while 0 is greater than 1. You have to see if nums of I is equal to 0, then you have to decrement it, right? You have to decrement the 0 variable and you have to increment your I every time, right? So this is what we are doing and we are using a curly bracket, which should not be the case, right? It's a Python. Fine. All right. So now once this is done, we are going to say result should be equal to maximum of result and J minus I. Simple thing, right? And after that, we are going to say J plus equal to 1 and we can say return our result. So let's run this code and see whether it's working fine or not. So first thing is nothing but we are going till length of nums, and then after that we are checking if 0 is 1, then you have to move your left, we can say I variable or we can say first pointer to the right side every time until and unless 0 is not less than or equal to 1. Then we are calculating our result, which is the length, and we are after that incrementing our J to the next side, right? Let's try to submit this code as well, and I know it will get submitted, right? So it's an easy problem, right? So you guys can see that it's successfully got submitted. Now let's move to the next programming language, which is nothing but we can say C++. Let's say. So here we can say our int I is equal to 0, j is equal to 0, and we can say result is equal to 0, and we can say 0 is also equal to 0, right? And here we can say while, let me say j less than nums dot size, and here we're going to say if our nums of j is equal to 0, so we can say nothing but 0 variable should gonna increment it, right? So we can say like this, and if our not if we can say directly while our nums not nums we can say 0 is greater than 1. So what we have to do, we have to move our first pointer means I to the right side. So we can say first of all nums of I is equal to 0, so you have to decrement it. So let me write equal to 0, then you have to decrement 0 by 1 and you have to increment I always, right? After that you can say result is going to be nothing but always equal to maximum of previous calculated or j minus I. Fine. And after that you can increment your j as well, j plus plus, and then you can simply return your result. Let's run this code and see whether it's working fine or not with C++. And I hope guys it will gonna run, but no, it's given error because we haven't used a semicolon. All right, so fine. Now let's see. So you guys can see that, right? It successfully got some accepted all the test cases. Now let's try to submit this code as well, and it will gonna submit, right? So here we have seen successfully submissions. Now let's move to the next programming language, which is nothing but Java. And in Java, we are gonna say first of all same thing: int I is equal to 0, I less than not I less than, and I is equal to 0, j less than j is equal to 0, and result is equal to 0, and we can say 0 is also equal to 0. Fine. Now while j is less than nums dot length, we can say fine if our nums of 0 not nums of 0 nums of j is equal to 0, so we can say 0 should be increment, right? And here we can say while our 0 is greater than 1, we have to move to the first point or left, we can say I variable to the right side. So we can say if nums of I always equal to 0, so 0 should gonna increment it, decrement it, and I always gonna be incremented. And here we can say result should gonna be nothing but math dot max result comma j minus I, and here we can say j plus plus, and here we can simply return our result. So let's try to run this code and as well see whether it's working fine or no. So you can see guys all the test case passed. So let's try to submit this code as well. I hope you are getting this right. So it's, you don't need to just run sliding window like this, just you are getting this why we are doing actually this part, right? You want to find a length maximum, right? Now let's move to the last programming language, which is nothing but JavaScript. And here in this JavaScript, what we are going to do, we are going to say first of all let's make a for variable. Let me do like this: let I is equal to 0, j also 0, and we can say result is also going to be equal to 0, and 0 is also going to be equal to 0. Fine. and while our j is less than nums dot length, nums dot length, what we are going to do, we are going to say if our nums of j is equal to 0, so we can say 0 should gonna be incremented. But while our nums of, not nums, we can say our 0 is greater than 1, that means we have to move our first, or we can say I variable, to the right side. So if our nums of I is equal to 0, so you can say 0 should gonna be decremented and I always gonna be incremented. Fine, and here we can say our result is gonna be nothing but our math dot max result comma j minus I. Fine, and after that we can increment j plus plus. So after that what we are going to do, we are going to say return directly result, right? Fine. Now let's see whether it's working fine or not. So you guys can see that all the test cases pass with JavaScript as well. So let's try to submit this one. So it also got successfully submitted. So guys, we have seen the implementation all four programming languages: Python, C++, Java, and JavaScript. And we have also seen the logic part. We have also seen the problem understanding part. If you have any kind of doubt in all these three sections, you can add the we can say comment as well, right? So we are always there to help you. And that's all, guys. If you learn something in this video, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe my channel. Meet you in the next video.